We made an AI, but no, I'm not talking about that kind of AI. I don't mean artificial neural networks like large language models that were trained in thirsty, power-hungry data centers on mountains of data that they harvested from all of us without our permission. I'm talking about old school classical AI, meticulously handcrafted over the past 6 years by myself and my collaborator, Sarah Rooney, aimed at a very specific goal to help you take back your online identity and creative agency from a digital world that's been working real hard to rob you of that. Now, it wasn't always this way. The scientists who first created the World Wide Web had a vision for a collaborative online space, not just to consume interactive and hypermedia content, but to create it, which is why the first web browser they built was also a beginner-friendly hypertext editor. Anyone with a computer and an internet connection could take part in building the web, linking their pages to other pages, forming connections between people and ideas around the world. But then came opportunistic tech startups who removed the editor and redesigned their own browsers for commercial consumption, and over the next 30 years redirected the web toward a very different vision, where online social spaces became data harvesting platforms optimized for attention rather than genuine human connection, where algorithms became tools of oppression and exploitation rather than sources of inspiration and empowerment. Many folks would have you believe that this was inevitable, the natural evolution of this technology, when in fact, this version of the internet is the consequence of a very specific set of incentives driving its development. Now here's the good news. The web is still an open, decentralized platform, a virtual public commons that nobody owns and anyone can contribute to. That's exactly why those early tech tyrants were able to hijack it so easily in the first place, but also why we can just as easily reclaim it. Those of us in the creative, coding, net art, digital, folk, indie, web design worlds understand this and have been creating our own online tools and spaces outside the algorithmic confines of the corporate internet this entire time. And if you'd like to join us, I've got a gift for you, a smooth ramp into the handcrafted web. Now, there are a lot of tools out there right now that'll write code for you, generate your website, design a layout, even build your whole thing from a single prompt. And this is not that. And I'm not here to shame anyone. If you're the kind of person that has a very specific idea and just wants someone else or something else to execute that idea for you, then maybe those other tools are right for you. But if you're like me and you don't just think of things you want to make, but you make as a way of thinking, the kind of person whose imagination expands through practice, through the act of creating something, and you want the understanding and perspective that comes from that process, then this is for you. This is netnet.studio, a free, open-source, browser-based learning and creative coding platform for DIY-minded folks who want to explore code as a medium for self-expression and learn how to shape the web itself. When you first visit the site, you'll be met by netnet, our friendly AI TA. But remember, netnet is classical AI, a lot more like Clippy than ChatGPT. When netnet says something, those words were carefully considered by us. When netnet writes code, that code was actually written by us as an intentional educational starting point, not synthetic code generated on the fly by a large language model. Now, that's not to say that we are anti-AI. Our position is much more nuanced than that. The studio actually includes lessons on all that other kind of AI. We've got widgets for strategically prompting AI, also for connecting to LLMs, cloud-based or local. We've got demos showcasing creative uses of various kinds of models and other lessons on the many technical and ethical dimensions of AI. We've got strong opinions on all of it, but more importantly, we want to help you develop your own informed position on these algorithms and many other aspects of the digital world. Netnet.studio is both a place to sketch with code, like to create your own internet art and web design projects, as well as a place to learn how to make and think about all of that. And that learning takes many different forms, from guided lessons, where NetNet walks you through fundamental concepts, to guided templates, where NetNet creates a starter project for you that you can build on, explaining each part of it line by line as it goes, to annotated demos, which are single-file creative coding sketches that NetNet can explain to you and that you can remix to create your own variations on a theme or technical concept, and even interactive hypermedia tutorials similar to the one that you're watching right now, where I'll not only teach you the craft of creative coding on the web, but also share some of the history and theory behind the practice. But remember, you're currently watching a non-interactive video. On NetNet, you can watch a video like this while also interacting with any of these widgets and even mess around with the code that I write in the editor. And netnet is a special kind of code editor. On the surface, it appears to be a minimalist version of what you might find in any of the modern code editors, but it's actually got all sorts of features designed for digital makers starting on their creative journeys for the first time. When you write code in netnet, it renders immediately, so you can experiment in real time. When you double-click on any piece of code at any time on netnet, it gives you an explanation, often linking to other widgets with tools and or more information about that piece of code. Anytime you make a mistake, Whether that's a technical bug or a bad practice, netnet will mark the line with a dot, which you can then click on to read a plain language explanation of the issue it spotted. Or you could ignore it, because sometimes bugs can be fun. One way to use netnet is like a coding sketchpad. If you visit netnet.studio/sketch, you'll immediately get a blank canvas where you can quickly explore and sketch out a code idea and experiment, and then you can hit Command S or Control S, and it generates a shareable link with your code directly embedded in the URL itself. So you can easily and quickly share it with other people, like a collaborator or a mentor. You could also download it as an HTML file and send it to people that way. But I think these shareable links are a little bit more conducive to kind of a back and forth. You can also use it to create full-on web projects with multiple files, versions as a Git repository, and publish it directly to the web. And if you don't know what any of that means, perfect. netnet assumes as much. It'll introduce you to all of these core concepts and guide you through each step along the way. And because it was carefully designed to run entirely client-side, meaning in your browser, not in the cloud, nothing you do on netnet ever leaves your computer until you decide it's time to publish. On netnet, you'll never get locked in because you don't need to sign up or create an account to use it. Eventually, after publishing a few projects, internalizing the fundamentals, and generally getting a hang of things, should you choose to leave netnet to explore other coding tools or web hosting options, you can take all the knowledge gained and all the code created with you. Loads of students have tested this platform with us as we've been working on it over the past few years. Some of them even helped us build out portions of the platform itself. And today we're releasing it out into the World Wide Web and sharing it with you in the hopes that you too might feel compelled to learn, explore, experiment, and ultimately create your own corner of the World Wide Web. Like I said, it's free and open source, but I'll remind you, Sarah and I are just two people with occasional help from a handful of other folks. So if you appreciate this gift and want to help support us in keeping it alive, there's more than one way that you can do that. Start by visiting our documentation page at netnet.studio/docs. If you're an independent creative learning this stuff for the first time, check out our Patreon. If you're part of an educational institution and want to incorporate netnet into your curriculum, we've got info for that on our docs as well. Links to all of that and more down below. This is the first video I've posted on this channel in a while, and YouTube culture makes me feel like I should apologize for that, but I'm not sorry. I've been busy. I've been working on netnet, and sometimes good creative projects take time to make. Keep that in mind as you explore your own creative coding journey on netnet. But I'll be back here, at least for a little while, posting demos, guides, tutorials, and all sorts of stuff using netnet. So click subscribe, the bell button, and any other necessary toggles if you want to follow along here. And if you make something on netnet, hit Command S or Control S, copy the link, and paste it in the comments below, because that'll give me a little motivation to keep going. And with that, I invite you to enter https://netnet.studio into your web browser's address bar and get started.